guys, it's Charissa from the Community Library, and today we are celebrating National Parks Day. So we are going to be painting today. I've made this cute Polaroid of a little mountain scene, and this is what we're going to be making. It is easy. I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to make it. So first, we're going to gather some supplies. We're going to need a couple paper plates because we're going to be mixing a bunch of paint colors. Which you can easily do, mostly using white and black paint to make your darks and your lights. I've got a variety of paint brushes, just because I like to use different sizes and shapes. You could do this with any paintbrush that you have. I do have a thing of water here and a whole pile of paper towels because I get a bit messy. We have some heavier cardstock that I've got here. And I do have some painter's tape, which is how we get our nice little Polaroid look. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape it off onto my table. Now I am running this just so it slightly goes over the edge of my cardstock. I've just got very, very tiny blue edge there. And we're only doing just the littlest bit. We want as much of that painter's tape on the cardstock, enough to keep it on the table, but enough to give us a nice outline. And I'm gonna do that all the way around. And then on the bottom here, your Polaroids have a bigger space for you to write in or do whatever you want with. So we're actually going to take a couple pieces of painter's tape. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first bottom one. I'm going to do it just like the other ones, leave a little edge off. I'm going to do a second one that overlaps that first one that I put down and just overlap it a little bit. And then I'm going to do a third one. And I'm going to overlap it on top of that last one we just did about halfway. So you have half of that last one on the cardstock and half of it on your other piece of painter's tape. Okay? So we've gone ahead, we've got our canvas basically ready, and we've got our painter's tape. So first things first, we're going to do the background. I am using 3 shades of blue that I have here. I've got a dark blue, a medium blue, and a light blue. Now you can either have 3 different colors of blue that you've picked up, or you could pick up a single shade of blue and add some white in varying degrees so that you get a darker and a lighter. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this onto one of my plates here. Shake it up a bit. I fell in love with the medium color. It's like this beautiful, like periwinkle almost. I didn't know I liked that color until I found it. All right, so I've got my 3 shades of blue, and I'm going to use a larger brush. I enjoy using a larger brush for this kind of thing. So we're going to do our background, and I suggest doing it about a third of the way. We're going to cover, sorry, something in my eye. I'm going to cover about a third of the way down for your project. That's going to give us a nice space to do maybe a few clouds, but give us enough space to do a little mountains and some easy trees. So I'm going to go ahead and start in with some of my darkest blue, and we're just going to brush it on, and you're going to make sure that it gets all the way to the edge, but that your painter's tape is keeping it from running over, because we don't want it to run over. Once you have a significant amount that you're pleased with, you can go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out and use my multitude of paper towels here. And then we're going to go in with our light blue And I like to overlap them just a bit and blend it just to give that nice tonal look of the sky changing. Now we're gonna go ahead and wash it again. And we're gonna get our light blue. And once again, we're gonna go in and make sure to brush it in. Get it kind of blended in. It's a good idea to have all your colors prepped and ready so that you can really go in and make sure that you're blending and that you're getting enough colors blended together that you get a nice realistic looking sky. Then I'm gonna go ahead and wash my brush. And that's all we're doing for the sky. Just 3 shades of blue, overlapped a little bit so that they blend nice together. That's it, not hard. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start in on our mountains. I'm gonna show you a fun way to do it. So you're gonna take a piece of paper, something maybe a little thicker than just regular paper. I would not suggest construction paper. And we're gonna crumple it up. This is great because, you know, this can take a second or two to dry. Working with acrylics, it's great working with acrylics because they can dry faster. And then you're gonna smooth it out. And we're just gonna rip in an organic looking shape. So I've gone ahead and ripped a piece off here. I'm gonna just keep ripping in strips until I get some nice mountain shapes that I think look nice. You may choose to rip something else, or maybe you want something a little more peaked. Like this one, I'd like it to be a little more peaked. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip it so that it has a little bit of a more mountain shape. But you can just keep ripping. It's gonna give you a nice little mountain-esque look. I think I like these two the best here out of my mountain shapes. So the next thing is so you've got your mountain shapes. We've ripped them up out of our paper. And we're gonna just place them on. Now, I'm looking here and I'm going, okay, well here's mountain shape number 1, but it goes really low. So I'm gonna wanna move it up and maybe a little over because we want that top mountain shape that we're gonna paint. We're gonna paint it, we want it to cover, let's see, I'm gonna rip this because you wanna make sure that you don't have any white showing. So you wanna make sure that if I've got it here, so I've got it upside down, so that you can see I've got my mountain here, and you've got a little blue. We're gonna paint over the blue. You wanna paint over a little blue the whole way across so that you don't have any white showing behind. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do that. And we're gonna make some gray. So you're gonna have your mountain shape with your points like this, facing down, because we are painting this way. This is the only jar I had of the black. So do not use this much black. And then I have my white. I'm gonna start, and you're gonna need about a couple different shades of gray. I like using a little one of the paintbrushes that has a point so that I can easily mix in and control how much black that I add to my whites. And just play around with the colors. You're going to at least need 2 tones of a lighter gray and 2 tones of a slightly darker gray, and then we're going to be using just the flat black. And as you can see, I keep adding a little bit more black each time I'm going in on this color because I'm just trying to slowly get it as dark as I'm looking for. I'm just gonna wipe it off. Go back to mixing this really light one. And I'm gonna do one more with a second, I almost grabbed my booties, a second lighter gray. So you're looking for about 4 tones of gray. 2 light, 2 dark. Just a hair more. Don't be afraid. If you get one too dark, you can always add a little extra white. So I've gone ahead and I've got my 4 tones. It's kind of hard to see on a white plate. 4 tones of gray. That one, I've got one right here that's very hard to see because it is so much lighter. All right, so we're gonna go ahead in. I've got my mountain here, and I'm gonna, let me see if I can. Ooh, I can peel it off in one piece. Okay, I was afraid I couldn't show it. Okay, so I've got my blue sky here. And I'm going to take, let me make sure I do this right so you guys can see it. I'm going to take my mountain range and hold it like this. So I'm going to be painting down, and I have a nice blue line underneath so that when you paint down, you're covering a little bit of that blue all the way across so that we don't have any white when we lift off. Okay? I'm going to stick this back on my table for now, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint down. So I'm going to grab this paintbrush. Now, your first set of mountains, we're going to use our light gray. And we're going to use our lightest gray that we went ahead and made. It's the other good thing about acrylics is they cover up other colors. So we're going to paint down. And then when I lift off, I'm going to set that over there. Peel this up for you guys. You have a nice mountain range in the back that is in your light gray tone. You're then going to take a dark gray tone. Your second light gray tone, your slightly darker gray tone, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna figure out which way you want your sun. So if your sun is on your left, I think this is my left in the video, but if your sun is on your left, you're gonna do a little bit of darker gray tone on the right, and going down on the right side, and we're just gonna go in and kind of edge it in. And the great thing is you can edge it in, need a smaller brush. You can edge it in and then you can go back with your lighter gray and kind of blend it in. So I'm going in with my slightly darker gray tone. And I'm going all one direction. And then I'm going to go in with my slightly lighter gray tone, so I'll show you. You can see my slightly darker gray tones going all one direction. I'm all going one direction. We're going to take your lighter gray tone, and we're just going to kind of blend it in a bit so it's not so choppy. We want it to look mountain-esque. Mountains aren't choppy, they're not straight lines. I'm just blending it in a little bit, moving the color around, giving it a little more feeling. Okay. Just like that. So we're gonna go ahead and let that dry. I'm gonna rinse off some of my paintbrushes because I'm gonna need them for the next mountain source. Pat them off here. I'm gonna stick this back down. So we've got our first mountain. So go through your ripped pieces, find your next mountain piece. It's gonna be, we're gonna paint down again. So if you decide, like if this piece here is the one I go with, and I hold it up and I'm like, okay, well I like this and it cuts down, but there's definitely gonna be a big swath of white. I'm gonna go back in with my light gray and I'm just gonna paint it a little lower. So go in with your light color that you used as your bottom. And go in so that you know you have enough space for your second mountain. All right, I'm gonna take your second one, point it down once again. I think I need a little more light gray. Don't think I went quite far enough down. I'm just gonna go all the way now, just to be safe. It's okay because we're gonna use black at the very base. So if you paint with your lightest color all the way down to the end of your painting, that's fine. If we're going back in with black, black will cover it. So I've gone ahead and I've got my mountain range. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do my second set of mountains. Yet again, I'm going to be painting down off of the ripped paper. Put that there. Get that brush. And we're going to get our third lightest color of our gray. Not our darkest gray, but our third. And we're going to paint down with it. Go ahead and paint quite a ways down. All right, so we've got our second mountain, and then we're gonna go once again in, so now we're using our darkest gray that we made, and we're gonna go the same direction you made your slightly curved lines before. And we're gonna just go ahead and go in that way with them. and give it some depth. This is a mountain. And then if you need to go back in and blend, you can go back in and blend with that third darkest color that you used for the back. Blend it in a bit. Mountains are choppy, they're not just straight lines. Alright, so we've gone ahead and done that. We've got our mountain range. We've got our 2 tones of gray on there. See if I can get a good image. We've got our 2 tones of gray in there. And we are going to now go in with our black. We're going to make trees. Now I highly suggest either using a pencil or like this one has a pointed end on the end of my pencil. We're just going to go ahead and dip it in the black. And we are going to draw up. We're going to dip it in the black, draw up. Just see my 2 lines? We're just going to go ahead and make a bunch of lines. Those are going to be our trees. Someone once said happy trees. But we're going to go ahead and make trees. Alright, once you have a bunch of black lines drawn on the bottom, you're going to take a thin paintbrush, and I highly recommend using a thin paintbrush to do this. And we are going to make horizontal black lines instead of the vertical black lines we just made. And you're going to start like small little lines at the top of your stick towards the sky. And then we're going to make slightly wider ones coming out towards the base. This is going to give us a nice tree look. Don't worry about the bottom. You can see my tree here. I've just painted some horizontal lines, starting small and getting bigger towards the bottom. You want to see if you can get them as thin as possible. If you get a nice thin tipped pencil, and you can practice a little bit before you do this, I highly recommend doing that if you don't have a thin paintbrush. Okay, once you have all your trees painted all the way across, we are going to paint the bottom black. And you don't have to worry, so we're just going up to meeting that very bottom edge of your tree line, and it should not be straight. You free-handed this, that bottom tree line shouldn't be straight. We don't have straight tree lines anywhere unless you're in an apple orchard. Alright, so we've gone ahead and painted that bottom black. We're going to rinse our paintbrush. Almost done. I'm going to really rinse this one because we're going to use it. Alright, next I'm going to swap out my plates here. Alright, I have 3 tones of yellow. I have a buttermilk yellow, I have a nice golden yellow, and then I have a brighter yellow. I am going to use my golden yellow and my buttermilk, and we're gonna put a few little clouds on here. You don't have to put clouds. Heck, you don't have to put trees if you just want to paint mountains. You can make your sky pink. Maybe try to make a sunset. Pick 3 sunset colors and do it. This is also your project. But I'm gonna do 1 set of solid buttermilk, 1 set of my darker golden color. I'm gonna do a little extra of my buttermilk that I'm gonna mix with some of my darker colors. So I'm gonna, again, take my point, and I'm gonna mix, because I want another medium between the two. That way I technically have 3 colors. All right, now I am gonna use this brush, and I'll hold it up. It is rounded. You can use a Q-tip. You can use a Q-tip for this part. This doesn't even require a paintbrush. So I'm gonna use this round brush, and I'm gonna use it in my buttermilk. My buttermilk here. And I am just gonna put on and start dabbing on some nice cloud shapes. And again, that's why I said you can totally do this with a Q-tip. Got a nice round Q-tip. Got a couple round Q-tips. I hope you have more than 1 Q-tip in your house. You know, you may need to go to the store. But you're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dab on some nice cloud shapes. Just to give our painting a little extra. I'm gonna go ahead and do 2. So we've got our nice cloud shape. Woo! We like our clouds. I'm gonna take another paintbrush here, and I'm gonna go in with my medium tone, and I'm gonna just start kind of blending. Now I put all of my, I might have to stand up and show you guys. I put all of my, let's see, let me turn my brightness down here. Oop, wrong way. Okay. So if you can see on my mountains, I have all of my darker pieces going this way to my right. I don't know if this is gonna be right on camera. To the right. All of my darker curves on my mountains are going to my right. You are going to be putting your lighter colors, because we're using our gold where the sun is hitting, to the opposite side. So my lighter color, if I were to put darker colors on the cloud, it's gonna be in here. I'm gonna put the gold on the opposite side so that it's where the sun is hitting. And I'll paint that on and show you. I'm gonna go ahead and take my medium, and I'm gonna go in first. And it'll be a lot easier to see, especially with the bright gold. And I always like to go in, do a few little curves the same direction that I did. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I did my medium, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of the, use my smaller paintbrush, a little bit of the darker gold on the outer edge of the medium. I'll go ahead and do one, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. Okay, so you can see on this cloud here, I've got my darker gold, I actually have a medium, and then I have my lighter gold. And if you can see, the brighter gold is on the opposite side of all of my darker mountain curves. So I've got my darker mountain curves, brighter gold is on this side, darker mountain curves is on this side. That way you're getting your lighting right. Because your darker mountain curves are your shadows, the sun is coming from the other direction, creating a shadow here, so that if there's an outcropping, you've got a shadow, so you get your nice colors in. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little edge on these. Give them a little more life. Who doesn't like a good cloud when the sun's hitting it? It looks all golden. All right, so we've gone ahead and painted our clouds. We've got our mountains. I'm going to go ahead and start peeling the tape off. I would not wait too long to peel your tape. You don't want it to adhere too much to your cardstock. You could also do this with canvas. I would not suggest using this with watercolor unless you test it out first to make sure that your paint isn't going to peel up part of your watercolor paper. That would be very disappointing if you got through to the end of this and you find out that that peeled off. It's also really fun seeing the squares show up. Alright. Then you have a cute little Polaroid. You can see my clouds. I added a few little of the darker gold in to give it some depth down in the centers. So really play around with this. I thought it was a lot of fun to give you some nice Polaroids. Celebrate national parks. Maybe you have a favorite national parks. I hope you guys had fun, and I will see you all next time.